my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. What is this so spacious? We are here. We are here. Hello, my friends. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so pumped to be with you. We're talking about launching today, and I am stoked. I love launching. Want to get you an influx of cash and buzz and excitement in your next big offer, or even how to transform your current offers into a launch so that you can get an influx of bookings, buyers, sales, whatever you would like to do. I'm gonna share my screen and we will get right into it. Please share any wins that you have in the chat while I am pulling up our presentation. Who had a win this week? Whose win is that they are showing up today? Whose win is that they are feeling good? Yay, FineLab shared your photo. Woo woo! 2 great newborn sessions in DC. Yes, Natasha. Love that for you. Look at you go. Okay, it's 11:03 and we are like in it. I love it. We are going through how to launch, and this is step by step, my friends, so that you can sell your next offer with lots of ease and fun and joy, and just get rid of all of the old, outdated, nasty stories that selling feels yucky, because when it's aligned, selling feels so good, and it also feels inevitable. Like you're like, this is so valuable. Why would you not buy it? And so when you approach it from that energy, then you are able to just create so much. Okay, so first of all, why launch? Why bother with this? Because I will not lie, it's going to be extra work to launch than to not launch. But if you are struggling with bookings or sales, launching is the answer. It's such a great method to cut through the noise. So this generates buzz and excitement. And because you're not constantly doing it, you're not constantly selling, you're not constantly asking people to book, you're only doing it at a certain time, then it feels better for you. It also feels better for your audience because they know that they're not going to be constantly sold to. Some brands having a constant sell is fine because they also have a constant marketing budget. But even big brands do launches in terms of like their spring line or a summer sale. It's just different in the online world. Also, if you want to create an influx of revenue anytime, if you're like, listen, I could just really use an extra 20, 30, 50,000 right now, launching is the way to go. You can book out your sessions as far in advance as you want. If you find yourself feeling raw and sad about your current way of doing, that you feel like you have to show up every single day and do things all the time to book out your sessions, you could actually just compact this energy into a week, a month of launch energy and book out your sessions for the entire year, the entire summer, whatever it is that you would like to do. I love launching because it gives you ultimate freedom in your business to sell anything that you want, anytime you want. And why launch on the side of your client, your customers, your audience, your people, is that they're inundated with offers all the time. And without a launch, your offer, if let's say it's sessions, often just becomes something that comes out of nowhere. People are unprepared. And they don't have any foundation for why you're incredible, why they should buy from you. Launching does a few things. It gives them a taste of you and why what you're offering is valuable. With a launch, you will provide value to people even if they don't end up buying. And then that creates a know, like, and trust factor with your brand. And it also adds urgency to offers that are for problems that are important but not urgent, say like photography. Family photography solves a problem that is important but not urgent. The problem of wanting to freeze time, the problem of feeling invisible as a mother, the problem of, whatever it is that your particular flavor of family photography solves. Those problems are not like breathing down your neck the way that, say, like the IRS is. We're never going to fascinate with that type of urgency because you were never going to have that type of authority, but we also don't want that type of energy. But when you can add something like time to create urgency for these offers, it's really in best service of everybody involved, because not only do you get to have an influx of cash bookings, all of the good things, but the people who are buying from you get to have a reason to get themselves in gear and actually complete a booking that they have been meaning to do, have been thinking about doing, have been wanting to do, but life just gets in the way. So step one in your launch, whether this is a new offer or whether it's your consistent offer, your old offers that you want to transform into a launch, is research. And many of us are in research all the time. So I'm going to ask you to be cautious about this. Ask yourself who's serving the problem and or the group of people that you want to serve. So when you're thinking about research, think back to what we talked about last week about aligning with value and not with demographics. So if you're looking at photographers serving clients in other areas of the country, serving in other niches, meaning they have, they do weddings and headshots and a bunch of other things too, that's not going to serve you as well as if you're thinking about those brands that are specific in serving the same type of value aligned folks that you want to serve. And then you can look at who's offering something similar to you. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, it's so saturated, everybody's offering mini sessions for $5, blah, blah, blah. Knowing that somebody's offering something that's similar to what you're offering is actually great news, because it's proof that there's a market for what you're selling. Okay, it's proof that people are buying something similar to what you're selling. I would encourage you to find people at multiple price points in whatever you're offering. Now, if it's photography, you likely already have done this research and you don't need to do it again. But if it's something new, something different, like an iPhone photography course or a DSLR course, I would encourage you to find some other people who are offering something similar so that you can take market research from what price point they're offering, but also how they're talking about the offering, how they're positioning it, how they're talking about the problems that it addresses, how they're talking about the solution, how they're positioning. When we say positioning, that means talking about the solution to the problem that the problem that group is facing. Okay, step 2 is to survey your people, and this might actually be the most important. We've talked about this in the past, but this cannot be overstated. Ask your people via Instagram, email, both, whatever it is. Ask them how they feel about the problem that they face or the thing that they've bought in the past or their struggles and hesitations. So for example, family photography, here's like a zillion questions that you could potentially ask as a survey question. This can be in a Google form. Again, it can just be on Instagram, super easy and informal. You know yourself. Don't make it harder than it has to be, but this is a great thing to put in your weekly email if you want, or put it on Instagram. So what's hard about booking a family photographer? What's the best or worst part? You guys are going to have access to these slides, by the way, so you don't need to be writing things down if you don't want to. But also writing things down solidifies your learning. So definitely write down some ones that resonate with you. Besides money, what stops you from booking a family session? Besides the photos, what's the best part of a family session? How do you feel about family photos that you've gotten in years past? What do you wish photographers knew or understood? What would help you feel more seen or less lonely or validated as a mom or a dad or a family? What do you really want to see in a photographer's images? What do you really want to feel in a photo session? So these are coming at this buying experience from a lot of different angles so that you can not only identify the problems that they're perceiving, the struggles that they've had when making this type of purchase in the past, but then you can also identify some friction points. So if you ask what's hard about booking a family photographer and they say, I don't want to get on a call for 20 minutes, then you're like, okay, well, and you hear that answer over and over again, then you realize, okay, I'm not going to do that business model, for example. You really don't know how to best serve your people until you ask them. So business is really about radical empathy for the group of people that you want to serve. Ask enough questions, or ask the same question enough times in slightly different ways, or of slightly different groups of people, you're gonna find common threads. You're gonna start to hear the same answers over and over again. Now, I personally have done this through sales calls. I've done so many sales calls that now I know the words that are going to come out of people's mouths. And if they don't come out of that person's mouth, I know that I can't help them. I know that I'm not the person for them. But because I know the words that are going to come out of their mouth, then I can put those words in my emails, in my Instagram posts, your website, so that your ideal clients know that you're speaking directly to them. Now, again, you're going to have your own. And that's the beauty of this. If you're not getting a whole lot of responses, say on Instagram or that kind of thing, I invite you guys to help each other and input answers into each other's questions, so that then you can start to screenshot those answers that people are giving and continue the conversation. When I was doing my class Dress to Create, I was sharing almost every single message that people sent to me about the topic, so that I could show like people are engaging in this conversation in general, and then I'm responding to it. Then you're also positioning yourself as an authority figure and as just a curator of community, somebody who is facilitating a conversation and not always the expert if it's something that you're not necessarily trained to solve. Say, for example, like the invisibility of motherhood, etc. Okay, so after you've got your surveys and you have radical empathy, like so much so that you feel like you know the words that are going to come out of your ideal client's mouths, or you can also just use what you want people to say about your brand and your work. Like, we've had this exercise before, but it's always worth repeating. Just if somebody's introducing you to their friend and they say, oh my gosh, you've got to follow Maggie. She does ABC. Her photos are just XYZ. I love following her because blank. Then you're going to determine from those things, your survey responses and or the things that you want people to say about you and working with you, determine the promise or the transformation that this offer will provide. This is huge, my friends. So many of us create an offer based around a topic or a service. Family photography is a service. A topic is how to use your camera. Those are not transformations or promises. The promise of that how to use your camera course is not that they will learn to use their camera. It is that they will be able to make photos that what? Photos that make them happy, print-worthy photos. So what is the promise? Is it to have their motherhood deeply seen? Is it to take print-worthy photos on their iPhone? Is it to go from stuck to finished creative project in 8 weeks? That's a promise of a program that I'm creating right now. I'm so excited. You should all join it. Is it to have an heirloom album that they can pass down to their grandchildren of their first child's birth? What is the promise? What is the transformation? Don't overthink this, please. If you don't have one, tell us in the chat, in the Facebook group, as you work through these things, and I can help you. But don't let this be a reason that you don't do a launch or don't assign a promise or a transformation to any of your offers. All right, now we can get into just basic launch formula. The basics of a launch is that you have a tease phase. Then you have a phase where you can give people a taste of what they will get in your paid offer for free. They need to get something for free. That's the value part. Then you're going to create buzz, and then they buy for more. That's the structure. We can do this in a lot of different ways. Whoops, where's my tease? Okay, am I out of order on this? I don't know. So the first phase in your launch is going to be to tease it. And this can just be 1 to 2 days. It can be as simple as a PS on your Instagram posts or on your emails. PS, if you're a blank who longs for the result, the promise, the transformation, insert that here. Keep your eyes peeled for a fun announcement that's coming in the next couple days. So when you're out of the tease phase and then you're going to offer them a taste, you can do this through many different avenues. You can do this through live streams. You can do this through emails. You can do this through posting testimonials or social proof, awards you've won, places you've been featured, articles that you've written, that kind of social proof. This is going to be 2 to 5 days of content, depending on what you're launching, depending on how many spots you have, depending on if it's a service, depending on if it's a course, product, etc. So in creating this content, consider these frameworks or answering these questions. The first step is going to be to affirm their pain, their experience. We don't buy from people who we don't feel understand us. You need to show that you understand them. That's the radical empathy part. You can tell a story of transformation. Sometimes this is going to work better than others. So this could be a testimonial that's sort of more along the lines of like, we've hired other photographers in the past and we've never, but hiring Natalie, we had the most incredible experience because she really went above and beyond to prep us beforehand with whatever we needed, or, you know, all these different details. The transformation story needs to begin with where they are. So are you working with people who have never, who don't know the different settings on their iPhone, and you're teaching them how to take better photos on their phones? And then they are taking amazing print-worthy photos on their phones, and that's the transformation. You need to start with where they are, that they don't even know that you can tap and hold the exposure little button to move the exposure up and down on an iPhone. You're not going to share every detail or how. You're just going to share that overall transformation story. When you're sharing this piece of things, you're affirming their experience or their pain if you're doing a more problem-based offer. Tease your offer that's coming at the end of the free taste. So, and this does not have to be salesy. Again, with the teasing, then you're setting them up to realize there's going to be an offer at the end of this. There's going to be a sell at the end of this live stream, this webinar, this series of 3 emails at the end of this week, whatever it is. So if you leave this week thinking, where has this been all my life? There will be a chance to work deeper with me. Or there will be, the doors to my course will be opening in a few days. And I'm so excited about it. A few other things to consider when you're crafting your taste that you're going to offer people. Myth busting. What do people currently believe about your vehicle of transformation that needs to change? So if it's family photography, what do people currently believe about hiring a family photographer that needs to change? Do they currently, and I mean, you can attack this with price, but I would focus on other areas besides price, because you're going to create so much value that price becomes a non-issue. So if your myth is something like they believe that their house needs to be perfect to do an in-home family session, you can do a whole live stream on that myth busting, where you share like videos of actual homes that you photographed in side by side with the photos that you made in those homes. And like, we were just in this little corner. We just stayed in this one room the whole time. Your house doesn't have to be perfect. Or there was a huge mess right over here that we gracefully shoved to the side. Like, we don't care about mess. We care about you. Like that type of thing. People will not be open to your help and your offer unless you overcome these objections. So someone who believes their house has to be Instagram perfect to book an in-home session is never going to even consider booking an in-home session with you until you show that this is not true, right? So when you're thinking about myth busting, refer back to your survey responses. So when you're asking people what's hard about hiring a family photographer and they say it's just so stressful, then you need to bust that myth that family photos are stressful. And you need to show all the ways why family photos are not stressful when working with you. Or if it is stressful, if you're like, yeah, I acknowledge that it is stressful, then you're going to acknowledge that in a separate part that's not a myth busting. So for the iPhone course example, maybe people feel actually great about their iPhone images, but they feel terrible about how they're not displaying them, or how they are displaying them, but they don't like the way they're displaying them. Any problems that come up and surface in your survey responses, put on an alien hat where you're like, how could I solve this problem if I wasn't steeped in all of the industry standards that I'm currently in? This could be for courses, this can be bonuses, this can be free content, this can be courses in addition to what you're offering for family photography. It can be that they feel awful about how they never print their photos, and so for your launch you're going to offer a 4x6 proof set for everyone that books during that launch. You could also address the mistakes that people make when trying to solve their problem. What mistakes do people make when they're trying to hire a photographer? Do they make the mistake of thinking that a mini session is going to give them the most emotional photos when you know that it's going to be a longer session that's required to get the most emotional photos? Or do they make the mistake of buying a full session when they can really get it all done in a mini session? And that's how you want to sell your mini sessions. This is all up to you, but again, it's based on the radical empathy of thinking about your client's needs, desires, and taking their survey responses into account. Or you can also go with some popular advice that you completely disagree with, or trends that you disagree with. So one for me would be like the super neutral trend. I'm not into that trend, and I think that people think that they have to dress in all neutral colors to get a cohesive set of family images. So that would be popular advice that I disagree with, that I would talk about if I were launching my photo sessions in that way. It could also be, but if you are into the neutrals only trend, your popular advice that you disagree with could be spend a lot of money and go all out on your family's clothes for your family session. And then you could talk about a client, if you have a client wardrobe that you loan out to people, like you don't have to spend a ton of money on your family's outfits for family photos. You can use my client wardrobe. Is this getting some ideas spinning? I hope so. Step 6, calendar your launch. So your tease phase is going to be 1 to 2 days. So when you're thinking about your launch, you're actually going to put this on your calendar. And while you're launching, you're going to support yourself in the best possible way, because this is going to take a disproportionate amount of time and energy the first time you do it. It gets way easier with time, and the benefits far outweigh the effort that it requires. So your offer a taste is going to be 2 to 5 days. Your open cart is going to be 2 to 5 days. So I'm going to give you a couple examples, one for like a course or a product, something along those lines, and then an example that's more for photography sessions, whether they are mini sessions or whether you just want to book out your family sessions themselves. But first, let's talk about a flash sale. If you already have a product or a preset or something that you've sold in the past just kind of all the time on your website, a flash sale is a great way to get an influx of sales. So for a flash sale, tease it for 1 to 2 days or 1 to 2 emails. Say you send a weekly email, 1 to 2 of those emails are going to end with a PS. If you are a mom interested in taking amazing photos with your big DSLR camera that's sitting on the shelf collecting dust, keep your eyes on your inbox. I've got something really fun coming to you in the next couple weeks. So for a flash sale, your offer a taste and your open cart phases of your launch are going to be combined. So this could be 5 emails over 2 days, 2 emails the first day, 3 emails the second day, with countdown timers and testimonials and personal stories that you share. This works best for something that you have sold before, that you already have a proof of concept before. For a launch example where you're launching something new, or you're taking an offer like photography sessions that you've sold all the time and you're transferring it to a launch formula, tease for 1 to 2 days. I recommend including an opt-in if this is something new. So if you are a family photographer who's suddenly offering something totally random, then the best thing to do is going to be to include an opt-in for this experience, so that you know who's interested in what, and you're not blasting your entire email list with something that's totally new. And an opt-in, sorry, should clarify if you don't know what I'm talking about, is where people enter their email to get a freebie or to say, yes, I'm interested in this, or I want to know when this goes live. So then your taste could be 3 live streams that you then repurpose into emails. It can be a webinar if you want to get fancy. Let me know if you guys want to know more about webinars. But then it can be either just live streams, it can be emails, it can be Instagram posts, a series of Instagram posts, and then open cart after that offer taste phase, whether it's webinars or live streams or just Instagram posts. Open the cart, meaning people can only buy during that time. They can only buy for a period of 5 to 7 days. So let's talk about your cart strategy. Once your cart is open, you do not want to just say, mini sessions are open, peace. And mini sessions are open day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mini sessions are open, buy a mini session. You don't want to just say that for 5 days. So while the cart is open, your sales are going to be highest on the first and the last days of your launch, just so that you know that that's how human behavior works. That's how your launch is going to work. So day 1, you're going to offer either an early bird discount or a bonus. You want to actually support this influx of sales happening on the first and the last day, because it makes the most sense to people on the other side of things. So if you want to inflate your session price, as I always recommend that you do with the regular price is $400. If you're ready to book in the next 24 hours, it's $300. You can do the same thing in a launch container. So regularly the price is $400 for those of you who are ready to book a family session in the next 24 hours of this launch that we're doing. Price is going to be $300. Here's the link to book. You can also do this with a bonus, by the way, if you don't have that inflated price structured into your sessions, or if you're just doing mini sessions and you don't want to do it that way. But mini sessions, the price increase is just the easiest and best one in my opinion, but you could also do this with a bonus. So this can be I have a bunch of ideas for you about bonuses, but this can be anything from an 8x10 print or a set of 8x10 prints or a proof print set, like I mentioned before, to they're entered into a drawing to win a free mini session when they buy 2 full sessions or 1 full session, or a birth and a family session together. For Natalie and anybody else who has like really high ticket offers, I would do this for your high ticket offer people. And if they buy your highest package that has all the different sessions and the albums and like the whole enchilada in it, that they get other special treatment included with that purchase within the first day, in the first 24 hours that the cart opens. Now remember, you're going to have nurtured them for like 2 to 7 days before this. So by the time you open the cart, people are going to be like, yes, I want this. They're going to be clamoring to buy. It's so exciting. So day 2, you're going to share a client transformation. And this can be, again, your emails, Instagram posts, stories, etc. So this can be something like the number 1 reason that your iPhone pics aren't getting better yet. And you're going to address the question that people have, which is going to be, if I can do this, if I can take better iPhone pictures, or if I can learn to use my DSLR camera, why haven't I done it already? Or why can't I learn this on Google? Why can't they YouTube it on their own without your help? Or what time or money or mistakes is it going to cost them to do it alone or to do it the way they've done it in the past? So if it's family photography, for example, what does it cost them to do it the way that they have done it in the past? If they share with you, like you can say something like, when I asked you all about how you feel about your past family photos, you say that you really love the way your kids look and you're just so in love with their little faces and you can't believe how much time has flown, but you still cringe looking at yourself in those past photos. And that makes me just ache. And what I really want for you is to be able to look at the photos of your family and be obsessed with how you look in the photos alongside your kids, alongside everyone else. So that's an example of painting a picture of what it's going to cost them to not work with you, what it's going to cost them to do it the same way they've done in the past if they're hiring a budget photographer, etc. On day 3, you can share out another case study. And this can be a testimonial. Case studies work really well for things like courses where you're promising a specific transformation. But again, this can be a testimonial, or this can be somebody who shares that they have never hired a professional family photographer before, and hiring you was such a big leap for them. Again, using that testimonial question that's so magical about what were your biggest hesitations and concerns, and then utilizing those answers in the testimonials that you gather. You can also address objections or the struggles that they might have. This can be a great place to insert your freebie. So if you have a what to wear freebie or a how to prep for your in-home family session freebie, you can insert this on this day. Again, you're just giving value, even though the cart is open and you're asking people to buy. You still want to make sure that everything you share is valuable to the people who are not going to buy from you, that they get to have some nuggets of wisdom from you, or some value, even if it's just feeling seen, feeling understood in their motherhood, that type of thing. Again, you're going to have gathered these from asking all those delicious questions from a few slides back. So for teaching people how to take better iPhone photos, maybe their objection is like, I just need a preset and that's going to be all I need to make better photos. And you can tell a story of a student who wanted to improve their phone pictures. They bought presets, they weren't thrilled, or they were just getting mixed results. Then they bought your course and they're now so thrilled with their pictures. That's the transformation. That's a case study. Day 4, you can talk about new bonuses that you're going to add, or talk about existing bonuses. Again, another place to insert any freebies or existing assets that you have. Take stock before you do your launch of any assets that you have, meaning podcast interviews that you've done, audio that you've recorded. Like, you'll just be surprised. Have you given a talk for your church one time that was about how to get started in photography that you can add here? Did you give a random presentation that you want to include here as well? This is where you can also just get really detailed about the features of what's included. So this is where, like, we really haven't talked that much about features up until this point. Remember, we're really focusing on transformation and feelings. This is where you can say how long the session is, what's included in the session, talk about the slideshow part of things, how much people love experiencing the slideshow, screenshotting testimonials about the slideshow itself or about the process itself. All the features can be included here. But I want to warn you that tons of us, when we're first starting out with selling, we're selling features. We're selling how long the session is, how many photos are included, where the session is, if it's at home, if it's on film, blah, blah, blah. None of that matters, okay? It's just all peripheral. What matters is that people feel like you understand them so deeply that they're like, I don't care what it is, I want in on that. I want to be part of that experience, that brand, that person, that vibe. Okay. You can also, in your day 4 content, again, whether it's Instagram or emails or wherever, address any worries that have come up and you asking them how they feel or what they're struggling with related to your topic. So if they're worried that the course is going to take too much time, or that their kids aren't going to behave during the session, or that they're overwhelmed, do they get lifetime access to the course? Or what happens when kids start going crazy during sessions? This is a good time to just address any questions that you get when people questions. My friends, I should have written this like big and bold. So I want to like pause and highlight and make it big and bold. Questions are buying signals. When people ask you questions about your stuff, it's not an annoying thing that you go, oh my gosh, I have to answer these questions. Questions mean people are interested in buying. So the time that you spend answering questions, whether or not that specific person buys, it's a buying signal, and it's going to help other people have permission to buy, because their hesitations are going to be addressed when you're answering that question as well. And questions also give you a clue of where you can improve your own copy and messaging around your course, product, services, photography, whatever it is. So if they're asking you, everybody in your photos just looks so happy to be there, and like my family just isn't always like that. Is this for me? Then that might be a clue that you need to include that bit of info in your messaging all throughout, and weave it all throughout. Like, hey, I know that all the families that I share look like they are exceptional and they are super happy and in love all the time. And that's just not true. They're average families just like you. We just create an amazingly special container where they are allowed to be their most loving and elated selves. And that's what I want you to have as well. Okay. Day 5 of your cart. Oh my goodness. This is where you're going to get ready for the money to flow in, because it's the last day. If you want to extend your cart to 7 days, you can, but 5 days is really a great place to start. So day 5 in the morning, you just send out the email with the subject line, last day to enroll. Any questions? Again, you can do all of this on Instagram, but I really recommend doing it. If I could only choose one place, I would do it on email and not on Instagram, because email, people are ready to buy. Instagram, maybe not. Instagram is a consuming platform. Email is a doing platform. So you can say something like, before I answer a few questions, want to tell you why I created this course. I want to tell you why I bother to shoot families, or I want to tell you what has happened in the past 5 days. The other thing about a launch container that's so fun is that you're going to build buzz and excitement for people, but you're also going to build refreshed buzz and excitement for yourself in doing whatever it is that you're doing, offering whatever it is you're offering, because you're going to be talking about it for 5 days straight in a really intensive way, versus like, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this a little bit every day and I want to die. Then answer as many objections as possible in this email. This course will get them better results if whatever, even if they bought presets they don't know how to use, even if they're not a pro photographer, they have no interest in becoming one, even if it's currently a huge battle to get their kids in a photo, etc. You can do this with anything. This photo session, you will get photos like this, even if your kids are crazy, even if your kids arrive at the session dirty and wet already, even if you have never had professional photos taken since your wedding and you feel like you don't know how to behave in front of a camera. What are their objections? What's going on in their mind that's saying, I am separate from these people that she's showing? Because loving your work is a given. Anyone who's in your launch space is going to love your work. Day 5, in the middle of the day, you're going to send another email. I love the subject line, still on the fence. Because at this point, you've addressed objections. Now they just need a nudge to buy before the cart closes. So if it's something expensive, you can call that out. These family sessions are an investment, and I'm glad you agree that they're not cheap. They're not supposed to be cheap because A, B, C, D, E. So for this iPhone course example, having a pro photographer with you for every birthday, recital, and delicious everyday moment isn't possible. But even if you have zero desire to be a pro photographer, you can capture beautiful memories of your family that are literally priceless. Most people would save photos from their burning houses, and photos are priceless. So you guys, selling photos is so easy. So when you talk about family photos being an investment, then you could talk about, you can even just use that example of like, when people think about their house being on fire, there's one thing that they mention that they would always grab, and I'm guessing that you know exactly what that is. And I'm not going to pretend that these are for social media and for Instagram, because they're not. They're for your legacy. And then for this iPhone course, what are you giving them? You're giving them the skill to create those photos for themselves as much as they want. Okay, so on day 5, the end of the day, I recommend that you close the cart at midnight on that 5th day. You can just, the subject line can just be cart closing or last chance. This is just a final reminder, and it's just really, really short. So this will be, you can remind them the promise, hidden benefits. For example, you won't have to worry about missing priceless moments in your kid's life because you'll know exactly how to document it. And then just tell them that the cart's closing in a few hours. You want to see them link to the sales page, or just a link to the cart. If you guys don't know how to do or don't want to do a sales page, you can just link to the cart. Totally fine. The biggest difference with this is that you're going to have been giving to them for 5 days. So linking to just the cart is not a problem. Okay, so let's talk about cart strategy for a session launch if you want to book out mini sessions or book out your family sessions. So maybe the question that you have is like, well, why am I doing a launch if they can actually book a session with me anytime? Like, isn't this counterproductive? Or like, I'm not going to say the cart's closing and you can never book a session with me again if that's not true, and I don't recommend that. But I recommend including something like a price increase or a bonus. Like we've talked about, those things do have to genuinely go away after the launch phase is over. Or this could just be that you launch for your primo dates, that some folks get first pick for that. Or maybe it's a bonus mini session giveaway that they're entered into if they buy during this launch time. Or maybe it's a combo of all the above. But again, you're going to detail all of this out when you're calendaring your launch. You're going to think through all your bonuses, all of your strategy before you execute all of this. I don't recommend saying like these sessions will go fast if you're not sure. If you've never launched before, I would not recommend creating that type of scarcity because you're not sure if it's real, right? Time scarcity over amount scarcity if you're not sure how much you will book or how much you want to book. So if you're like, I really want to try this launch idea, this could be really cool. I would love to book out all my sessions for the entire year of 2023 in one launch, but I don't know exactly how this is going to go. Then you're just putting that time scarcity on it with the bonus aspect of it. So it's that price inflation that's going up after the fact, and the bonuses. If you do the inflated price scarcity, like I recommend, where it's a 24-hour jump, you could still do that with all of your subsequent sessions if you've included a bonus in your launch period. So if they get a set of proof prints, if they buy during the launch, but it's basically the same price to book anytime after the launch, that's still totally okay and a lovely way to go to create some scarcity, but in an authentic way that's not yucky. Okay. Launching is fun and everyone should try it at least once. What questions do you have? How can I help you have the most bomb launch? Anybody?
I do have a question.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi. So, when you're setting up your launch, do you ever do anything like Facebook ads or anything to help get the ball rolling or any sort of marketing for that?
Facebook ads you can
Or
do.
so, I don't know,
Um,
something like it. I don't know.
yeah. Here's the thing about Facebook ads. To do them right, um, there are several layers. It's not
Mhm.
generally as simple as just a boost post um, type of thing. But if you guys are interested in Facebook ads, I can definitely bring in a Facebook ads expert to talk more about this. But if you're like, okay, I just need more eyeballs on this offer, then I would recommend collaborating with somebody in your local area who has access to the audience that you want access to. So is it a local business that you're partnering with for these particular mini sessions? Is it the location at which you're shooting the mini sessions that you want to partner with? Is it a local artist who you would like to just trade promo for their work and yours? You want to um, you talk about their stuff and they talk about your launch, um, or that you ask your film lab to share out about your thing that you're doing, because again, when you're launching, you're giving away a lot of free content, and the reason for that is partially so that you can get as many eyeballs on your thing as you want, as possible. So it can be it can be all the things about how to prep for a lifestyle family photography session, all the myths about lifestyle photography, all of the popular advice about lifestyle photography that you totally disagree with. If you're going to share all of that out to people, that is valuable content. And so people asking someone to spread the word about that is not the same as an ask to share about your offer. Asking people to just share like your mini sessions is salesy and that feels yucky, right? But when you're asking, just saying like, hey, I was thinking of you, thinking about your audience and thinking they might be interested in learning more about lifestyle family photography sessions. I'm doing a free thing next week. Just would be really cool if you shared it out. If not, whatever. Big hugs to you and you're amazing. Bye. Is that helpful?
No, yeah, that really does help.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know a little bit more about, like do you do anything prior to prep or what? But it seems like it's a what week and a half, 2 week process almost, like total
Yep.
like 2 days, 5 days. So it really does drag
Mm-hmm.
out for about
Yeah.
10 days. So by the time you get to that, I mean, people will have known, well known.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that you're starting a conversation around the topic, the problem, the transformation, all those things way before you ask them to buy. That's the
Right.
thing. Because by the time you ask them to buy, they're going to be eating out of the palm of your hand. They are going to be, because they will have gotten a taste of you. The problem is that most of us go right to the offer and we're like, here's the thing, buy it, buy, when we haven't nurtured them at all and haven't assured them that we get their problem, we get their pain, we get what they're going through, and that our offer is the solution to that problem, that pain, that question, that issue that they've had for hiring photographers in the past, whatever it is.
Right.
So the marketing that you should be doing, Maggie and everybody else, is for the launch itself, for the conversation starting. The more conversation that you have going during the launch period, the more buyers that you're going to have on the back end when you open the cart. So when you're thinking about, if you are thinking about an ad strategy as well, your all of your ad budget should go towards pushing the free content that you're going to share,
Ah, okay.
not
That,
pushing the offer. Because again, if you're going to
that makes sense.
run an ad to an offer, people are like, I don't know this girl. I don't trust her. I don't, what is this? Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That I see that now. Yeah. That's actually a good answer. Yeah.
Don't sound so surprised.
No, I just didn't because
I'm just
I'm
joking. That's like,
familiar obviously with doing like I'm good at doing Facebook ads for my wedding photography clients because I know who my clients are and
mhm.
I know who I want them to be and I know how to set up,
Oh,
demographics
cool,
and
cool.
everything for my wedding clients.
Nice.
I know exactly what I want, and who my client is, for example, where they live, what they like, etc. So this is like I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a good suggestion, that if I would do were to run something, it would be towards the freebies and the content, not towards what services are. So
Yes.
that makes sense actually.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good distinction because
Yeah,
also wedding photography, they have a problem to solve. Like they need
right.
to book a photographer and that's their problem.
Yep.
Like they're going to solve it.
Yeah.
Family photography, there's nothing necessarily urgent about it unless you
Yeah.
make it urgent, which is what
And
you
not
do
to
with
mention
the
that
launch.
it's not a one-time thing technically,
Mhm.
as opposed to like,
Exactly.
it's like, oh, this is a one-time event. Like you want
Yes.
to pick the right person. But with film photography, you can hire different photographers different years, or you can do your job right and get picked over and over again.
Yes. Yes.
So, but
Exactly.
it's very interesting just to hear a totally different, you know, it's yeah,
Cool, cool,
just
cool.
yeah, good to
Yeah.
know.
Awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely. Well, I didn't realize that you were already set up with doing ads, Maggie. So if you already know how to create ads that's
Hmm.
beyond just like the boost posts,
Oh
then
no,
definitely create some for your free stuff based on
yeah,
location and everything.
and that, but like I said, I have like my ideal client and everything
Mhm.
for demographics groups, education, all the good stuff. And I have it down. But in this situation, I have to start really thinking again of who my ideal family is, what they are doing and all that stuff. So it's like it's gonna be a learning curve, you know,
Yeah.
to
If
see.
you have a few families that you've already photographed that you love working with them, take their
Mhm.
demographics and use
That
that.
makes sense. Yeah. So it's so different. It's so different
Yeah, but
than
I'm trying to help you see that it doesn't
yeah.
have to be that different necessarily, Maggie, because you
No,
already know what you're
yeah.
doing here.
So this is very interesting just to learn and to be like, oh yeah, I feel new, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I know how to do this.
Yes, exactly.
Just
Exactly.
a,
You do. It's just a
different
different
genre, but
application.
I know
Yeah,
how to do that. Yeah. So
cool.
thank you for
Yeah, of course.
inspiring
Well,
me
let
to
us know
start
how
look.
you go. Let
Yeah,
us
I'm
know
actually very interested
what you
now
end
in
up with.
seeing how. Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
exciting. Exciting. Who else?
I have a question.
Hit me.
So the taste, like when you're offering this service, like if it's,
Yeah.
a shoot or whatever your offer is, the taste is like you're saying, like these little freebies that you're saying, oh, you can get this and you can get that. So you just create a bunch of different, almost like PDFs. Is that what you've done for freebies? Or it's just like, oh, I think you sent one that was like an audio
Mhm.
file or something too. So you're just thinking of creative ways to like do freebies essentially.
It doesn't have to be creative. When you're thinking about creating your taste, it should be um, number one, valuable, but number two, easy for you. So, just what format do you like the best? Do you like to create a PDF? Liz, do you like to create a video? That would be cool. Do you like going live? That's a great um, that's a great way to go too. So, I'm gonna go back to the options for offering a taste because you can really do it in any container that suits you. Um, sorry, this is a little. So it can be any of these things. It can be live streams, it can be emails, it just can be Instagram posts, testimonials. It doesn't have to be all PDFs if you don't feel expansive and lovely about creating more PDFs. If you already have a freebie that people download with your email opt-in, you can insert that into your launch on day like 3 or 4 if you want to, and that's a really great way to go. But then you're going to be creating these live streams, emails, posts, stories, whatever it is that you want to do. It just needs, you can, whatever container you put it in, it just needs to address these things with what's the transformation, what are the myths, what are the mistakes, what are the popular advice that you disagree with. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly that, and you don't have to cover each one, but those are the ones that not only establish you as the expert, but also create a conversation happening around the topic, around like, oh my gosh, she's the only photographer talking about all these things that are hard about booking a family session, or like, and then you get people sharing like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is what happened to me in my family session last time, or like, this was the worst thing that happened to me when I was getting ready for my session, or this and that. And then like, you're the facilitator of all of that community and conversation. That's the point of the taste.
Oh, so that's what you were talking about when you're sharing it back out. So you're getting people to sort of like give you their feedback or whatever, and then you're sharing it back out and being like, oh, we're all like in the
Yes.
same boat about, oh, how we feel like we have to all wear white or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I don't feel like that anymore. And you like to wear lipstick, you can still have it, you know, all that stuff. So it's more about creating this community around these ideas or topics that are kind of surrounding what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I just have to think about that. It is for me, it's a different way of thinking. And I get overwhelmed by all the things that people talk about. Like, I get easily overwhelmed. So I'm like, but I can understand how. And even when I had one sales call, she was like, oh yeah, we did a family photo shoot and it was out in a field and I was so exhausted. And there was not one photo of my kid smiling, and all this stuff. And that was the first sales call I've had like that, where I was like, oh, she was really like breaking it down for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like she gave me everything, because we were talking about home sessions, and she was like, oh, I just really think doing it at home would be really fun. So I think that's the first time that actually clicked with me, where I was like, yes, she actually gave me bullet points that you could do that with, it's like, so I guess it's, just sort of in the abstract, it feels harder, like you're saying, than it actually is.
Yeah. And I took you through like bird's eye view, but you're going to start with step 1, which remember is surveying. So like Liz, what you should for sure do is get on stories and be like, hey, I just talked to somebody who was thinking about booking an in-home session, and she talked about her experience doing a photo session in a field, and that she just felt like it was so exhausting, and there wasn't a photo of her kid smiling because it was just a new environment. It was stressful. Tell all the horrible things about shooting in fields, right? And then just ask your people, has anybody else had this experience? Do you like the idea of an in-home shoot? Yes or no? What, poll on Instagram. Next story. What would be, what hesitations or questions do you have about an in-home session? And then people can say like, they can ask you all their questions about it, and then you can just answer those questions, and that can be part of you can use that as like build up to your launch, or you can use it as your launch itself if you have questions to answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's making more sense to me. I think about it more, but
no, and you don't have to think about it more, Liz. I just told you everything to do. That's what I'm saying. It's like, start with the survey. Just start with the survey, and all the survey responses are going to lead you into what your taste is going to be. It can be these things, the myth busting, the mistakes, the popular advice, all that. But more than likely, like you said, everyone's going to spoon feed you what the taste should be, because they're going to tell you all the reasons they're not booking. And then your taste is just, here's how I can help them as much as possible with that problem, regardless of whether they book or not. And then those people who are hearing all of this and seeing, oh my gosh, she totally gets this, are going to be ready to buy. Yeah. Don't overthink, you guys. So my challenge to you is to at least, even if you're not sure about this whole launching thing, even if you're like, no, is to at least put out a survey, ideally today, but this week, put out a survey. go back to these questions. Here, I'm gonna go back to the screenshot. Just screenshot these questions. I'll put this in the in your Thinkific course access as well. But just take a pic. Just take a pic right now of these cues. I'm gonna take a pic of us. Ask them one of these questions on Instagram or in an email and share the responses that you get anonymously. And then dig deeper into those responses as you share about them. So if somebody says, how do you feel, if you ask the question, how do you feel about family photos you've gotten in years past, and somebody says, my kids look amazing, I look like trash. You share that screenshot of that answer and you say, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I had this experience myself, and this is what led me to become obsessed with flattering mothers when I'm taking family photos. And here's how I do this, and here's how you can do this in your own family session. Make sure to stick out your chin and put it down. Make sure to turn your body 45 degrees, whatever. You can give them a couple quick tips. The options are endless. Okay. So excited for you to at least just put out a survey and just get your mind percolating on what you might want to launch or how you might want to launch in the future. But action is everything. So ask one or more of these questions on your Instagram or in email this week. That is your challenge. You guys are amazing. This will be up in the Thinkific course today. And just take a pic on your phone if you want these questions ASAP. But I'm going to see you all next week. Big hugs. Thank you for being with me today. Bye.